Okay, we're working on a 2008 Honda Accord, and this car came in with a flashing D4 light, a check engine light on, and a P0843. So we're going to talk about what needs to be done to fix that. Alright, interesting thing about this car is it had a check engine light on, and when we drove it, the D4 light, or this light right here, the D light, which is right above the D3 light, I call it a D4 light, but anyway, the drive light was flashing. And I scanned this thing for engine codes, and there were no engine codes in it, even though the check engine light was on. Alright, as you can see here, we've scanned it for engine codes, and there's no codes present. And this was under the permanent codes, and even under temporary codes, it still has no codes present. So what we did is we went under transmission codes and we found the 843. Okay, so now we're under transmission codes. We were right here under engine. Now we're going to go under transmission, scan it, and we're going to look for codes. And what we see is 843, which is a second clutch transmission fluid pressure switch. It's either open or it's stuck off. So that's the description of the 843. So we're going to show you how we diagnose it now. Alright, what we did is we took this car for a road test, and this is recorded, so we watched the data stream. And what we did is we took this car, and if you look at the engine RPM, we stopped it at 39, but basically right here was at 0 miles per hour. And it creeped on up, and right here where my screwdriver is, that's 39 miles an hour, and that's where we stopped it. You can see the engine RPM as it, shifted. It went up and then peaked and then when made the shift. But look at the second pressure switch. That switch never came on. It stayed off the whole time. The third clutch pressure switch did come on when the transmission hit third gear. So right here it went into second gear on this RPM. Switch stayed off, and right here went into third gear and the switch came on, and then right here it shifted out of third and went into fourth, and the third gear pressure switch went off. So the third pressure switch is working when the transmission is in third gear. The second pressure switch never came on. Okay, so what we're trying to say is this transmission has a second and third clutch pressure switch on it. And when the transmission shifts into second gear, there's a switch which is located, if I can show you, right down here. My light's on it right now. I've got it unplugged. You can see it. Let's see if I can get my phone down there on it. It's right there. That's that gray cylinder looking thing, and you can see right here is the connector that goes to it. So that's the second clutch pressure switch. Then there's another one down here on the bottom for, if you can see way down in there, that's the third clutch pressure switch down here. Let me see if I can get my phone down there. The pressure switch is right here. I'm kind of waving my light over. It's that little blue connector. So when the computer commands a gear, like second gear, it needs to know that the pressure is being sent to that clutch. And that's when you get the pressure switch's job is to tell the computer that there's pressure going to the second clutch and to the third clutch. And based on the code that we have and the data we've seen, the pressure switch for second gear is not working. So what we did is we unplugged the switch, as you can see right here, and then we have a connector going in there. Okay, we unplugged the switch there, and we just probed it with a wire, basically, our prober. And what we're going to do is we're going to short that connection that we made right here to the battery. And when we do that, the second clutch pressure switch should go to on. Okay, so I'm touching it to the battery, and there it is. It's working, and it goes to on, as you can see there. And when I take it off the battery, right here, it goes to off. Okay, just to give you a better look, put it on the battery, switch goes on, take it off the battery, switch goes off, on, off. So basically, we're doing the job of the pressure switch. So when that switch is pressurized down there, what happens is it closes and it makes ground. So what I just did it with the battery myself. I closed the I did it with the battery. I just closed the connector myself. That's the connector right there, and there's the switch. So what it is a bad second clutch pressure switch. You just unscrew those switches and replace them, maybe change the transmission fluid, and that should fix it. But if these switches don't close when the computer commands second or third gear, if they stay open, it kicks the code, it'll turn on the check engine light, and it'll flash the D light. And you'll scan it for engine codes, which we did, and you may not have any codes. This car had no engine codes, so if you use a generic scan tool, you won't have any engine codes on it. Okay, so if you use just a basic generic scan tool and it just scans the engine, you'll have a check engine light on, the D light flashing, you'll have no codes. You have to use a more in-depth scan tool. We use the Snap-on Solus Ultra, and you actually have to talk to the transmission controller and see what code is being stored in the transmission module. If you don't have this tool and you're able to retrieve, or you get a code 843 by getting it diagnosed somewhere, the most common failure is the pressure switch. So there's a way you can test that. You can actually back probe the connector with a multimeter, a little cheap meter, just to get resistance. And when you hit second gear, you should see that switch make connection to ground. So you would back probe your connector plugged into your switch, and then you would connect it to your battery or to a ground. And when it hits second gear, you would see that thing go to ground. And then you would know your switch and your circuit's working properly. So we're going to replace the pressure switch on this thing. We're going to service up the trans, and then we'll we'll drive it again and watch the data and make sure it works. And we'll post the fix on it. So thanks for watching. Subscribe and like our videos. Have a good day.